I'm Will Hooley of the San Diego Legion, and you're watching Rugby Wrap Up.
Next on Rugby Wrap Up's Major League Rugby extravaganza, Chris Mattina of the Austin Gilgronis, plus highlights, opinions, and predictions from Bryan Ray, Dan Power, and Matt McCarthy. Hey everybody, welcome back to Rugby Wrap Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, and we've got a full Major League Rugby show for you today. But before we get ahead with our guests and Dan Power and Bryan Ray, let's take a quick look back to see what got us here. The Arrows of Toronto, Ontario, Canada got to host just their second game in over 1,000 days, and they welcomed in Old Glory, DC. The District of Columbia team was without a win and almost pulled one off, but the hometown Arrows held on to win 32-27. The New England Free Jacks welcomed in the up-and-down Seattle Seawolves into Quincy, Massachusetts, before a raucous crowd and almost blew it. Seattle had a chance at the end, but didn't get there. And New England held on for dear life, 24-22. Rugby ATL, the Rattlers, went into New Orleans to play the gold in the gold mine. And it was NOLA that struck gold first with the first try of the match, but Atlanta had no problem the rest of the way and won easily, 34-17. The Houston SaberCats welcomed in a wounded Dallas Jackals side. And the Jackals were leading after the 36th minute, but Danny Barrett scored a try and his team never looked back. Houston wins 31-6. The San Diego Legion were home underdogs at the sports deck to the Austin Gilgronis, and it was San Diego that had the lead on 3 different occasions, but Austin proved too much in the end and won 35-21. The big showdown between Los Angeles and New York turned out to be all LA at the Coliseum. In a resounding victory, LA takes it 43-0. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? She makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Shehe.com.
And welcome back to Rugby Wrap Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, Bryan Ray up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. And Bryan, we have a mystery guest while Dan Power is apparently lost in the woods. We're going to go ahead and in an unorthodox fashion, I'm going to help you by asking questions of the mystery guest. Your 3 hints, Bryan, are our mystery guest played football, basketball, and rugby in high school. He is a closet New York Jets fan, and he has played overseas.
Did you play this past weekend?
I did.
Interesting. Are you from Australia?
I'm not.
Are you on an Eastern Conference team?
I'm not.
Are you bald?
I'm not.
Closet New York Jets fan. Think of that. Do you play for a team in California?
I do not.
Is that an American accent?
Maybe.
You play for a team from Texas?
Indeed.
Oh, he plays for a team from Texas. Do you play for a team that wears teal?
I do not.
Have you represented your country on the international stage?
Yes.
Did you score a put him in the coffin, it's over try for your team this weekend?
I did.
Have you been on this show before?
A few times.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Power is now calling in. This is history. He is mid-mystery guest round. Bryan hammering away with questions. What we know so far, Dan, is our mystery guest played football, basketball, and rugby in high school. He is a closet New York Jets fan. He has played overseas, and he plays for a team in Texas, and he scored the nail-in-the-coffin try for his team this weekend.
Mate, there's only one person on the face of the earth tragic enough, desperate enough to be a Jets fan, I'm going to say Chris Mattina.
Oh, Bryan Ray. That is the biggest choke in mystery guest history. And here is none other than Mr. Chris Mattina.
How's it
Chris,
going, guys?
welcome.
Good job, Dan. You did well.
Hey, listen, us Nyack boys, it's thick. It's thicker than blood. And I would know a Nyack guy from a mile away.
All right. Well, truth be told, Bryan Ray did the heavy work, and he's a good sport because he did know it was Chris Mattina, and he kind of let the kid win. Right, Bryan? You let the kid win.
Canadian, just let it slide.
Let it slide. All right. So, Chris, I want to first off apologize for my attire. We do a thing here on the show when you pick a team or you're rooting for a team and they get destroyed. Bryan sits in front of the backdrop of the team that his arrows have lost to, and I am in my Giltini's Miami Vice look suit, pink shirt, powder blue jacket. But I want to open this up because you scored a heck of a try. You're having a great season down in Austin, playing for the Gilgronis. And I want the boys to have a crack at asking you some questions because I know that they're eager.
Yeah, Chris, a lot of people are attributing this really impressive showing to Austin. I mean, obviously picked up some impressive players in the offseason, like yourself, heading over there. But a lot to the preseason. You guys, went down to San Diego and spent some time together there. How important was that getting off the season off to a fast start there? I guess, and a good preparation during the preseason to where you guys are now.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome preseason. It was definitely the most comprehensive one that I've had in the MLR, and I even showed up late because a lot of the boys actually got to Austin early December and got a few weeks of even heavier preseason in, and then I got to join a little bit later in January and got to go to that San Diego trip. But it's been unbelievable, and they kind of set that in their minds that was going to be our base for the rest of the season, and kind of set the tone with the culture, team building, and all that stuff. And I think it's really paid dividends for us, throughout this first half, this first stretch of the season. It's been really cool to see, and it's been great to be a part of, to be honest.
And Chris, just to catch everybody up on the clues that we gave before the round started, you played football, basketball, and rugby at Xavier High School in New York City. You are a New York City product through and through. You are an American Pathway sample, University of Delaware, New York Athletic Club, and the Eagles on the 7th Circuit. You are a closet New York Jets fan, which is tragic. And we got the overseas thing because you were with Team USA. But you were with Rugby New York, and it must have been tough making that transition down to Texas. Do you have a pair of boots? Did you get Spurs? Do you have a cowboy hat? How are you assimilating?
I went to the store. They're a bit expensive, so I didn't pull the trigger on the cowboy boots. But it's actually been great. I've really enjoyed it here. I think the weather's really nice. Coming into a team that's already pretty established with their identity and the players and the coaching staff. It's been a really actually seamless transition, and it's exactly what I wanted. Leaving New York was kind of just a place where I could focus on myself, focus on my game. Just, logistically, it's way easier than New York City, so we just 15 minute drive to the gym. Then it's a 5-minute drive to the field,
Nice.
Back home, and we have all the recovery stuff that we need kind of all within like a 10-15 minute radius of the house. So, it's been great. I really have no complaints, and it's been a really good transition for me, and I've really been enjoying it down here.
Yeah, it ain't Cleveland, right? And Dan, he's been having a great season down there. Yesterday, you were all over the pitch. You had a great run that set up a try. You scored that nail in the coffin try against San Diego in San Diego. Dan, is it tampering if you're not yet running a franchise that's not yet in the league if you tell us what you would trade for Chris Mattina at this point and then sign him to? It's all hypothetical.
I've got 2 kids, and honestly, I'd get rid of one if I could get Chris to hypothetically come our way. So, no, but mate, obviously you talked a bit about the geographical challenges of New York and Austin and the differences there. But culturally, have you noticed a big difference in the franchises? You're a New York guy, right? You went to Xavier and you're from the area. How was the assimilation for you personally going over to Austin and fitting into that culture?
Yeah, I actually wasn't nervous, even though I was going to a brand new place and a brand new team with, all new guys. I had Mark O'Keefe here, who I've been played with in New York for the past, 2 years prior to him being in Atlanta. I knew a few guys like Zinzan and Mason Penderson, and yeah, just kind of it fit, and I knew those guys were good guys. And then coming down here, it just really was seamless, and just how open they are down here with the culture, and Sam Harris really drives that. Is just, we really opened up to each other, especially throughout that preseason, and did a lot of cool activities where you get to know each other very fast. And I've really just, it's been really seamless, to be honest. Like, the culture's been great, and I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's actually been, it was easier than I thought, which is always a good thing.
Bryan, he's a very versatile player. He could be slotting in at 9 for you guys.
The only place I haven't lined up at the backline, actually.
Yeah. That was kind of my question. I mean, you're one of these Swiss Army knife guys. You literally played every position in the backline in MLR except for scrum half. I mean, one half of that, do you have a preference? And number two, I mean, is it a challenge for you to kind of, be aware of everything that you need, all those different roles to be able to cover those for your team?
Yeah, well, so to start off with, my preference actually is fullback. So I'm really happy here that they see me as that. And I've had the ability to have 3 starts there and get time there. And I think that's been a huge plus for me being down here. But yeah, in terms of just playing everywhere, I think it's been good for me to just kind of get awareness, like you said, in all those positions. And, it is difficult preparing week in, week out, and I might have to be covering everywhere. So it is a tough challenge, but I think I embrace that. And as long as I get to be on the field, I know I can make an impact. So, I'll line up anywhere if that means I can get on the field. So, but ideally I'd love to be in the back, and I think I've shown that 15 is my natural position. But yeah, I can cover other places as well.
Have the rumors about ownership affected the guys at all? Because you had a 2-week blip, it seemed, where it's like, oh, maybe they're not the team that we thought, and then you just turned it back on.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a little bit of ups and downs with that, and I think we've had more clarity after those last 2 weeks, and I think honestly we had a pretty big stretch of games. We played 5 games on the trot, and then we had the last 2, which are probably arguably the 2 best teams in the East at the moment, and who are physical, and we had to travel and stuff like that. So, I think it was a bit of wear and tear. And then once we had that bye week, it was a great reset for us. And we kind of went back, got away from rugby, got away from everything. The boys really enjoyed it. And then we came back refreshed mentally and physically. And, I think now we've kind of adjusted our game a bit. And now we're just kind of firing again on all cylinders, which is great to see. And hopefully we can keep that going.
Yeah, what's the plans for the year? I can't obviously talk too much about next year to you, but happy in Austin. You talked about your positional stuff there, playing fullback, but what are the plans for the rest of the year in Austin?
Yeah, I mean, I really like it here. I'd love to stay. I think just figuring out what's happening in terms of stuff for next year is probably going to be a little bit later on, but just kind of continuing with what I'm doing. I'm just kind of taking it 1 week at a time and just trying to get better every day and continue to work hard, get fitter, and just get as much time at fullback as I can. And just keep playing, to be honest. That's all I really
It's a great backline. It's got to be a blast playing in that backline.
Yeah, it's an awesome backline. We have so much depth as well. It's competitive, every single training session. We have, Bryce and Marcy and, Mark and Julian, and Mac. You could just keep rattling off names, and everyone's up there. And there's just been battles, and it's been really cool to just see us kind of sharpening each other's tools week in and week out. And I think it's just a great group of guys as well. So, even if you don't get selected, you're cheering that guy on. You're trying to have him have his best game, so it's really cool to see. And I think it was the same in New York, but it's great to just come into this and it's like the same thing. And you have, basically 2 backlines, which I think can start in the MLR, anywhere. So, it's been great for me, and, I love it. And, we're just going to keep going.
Does Marcel Brockie get ticked off when people call him Marcy?
I don't think so. He doesn't really get ticked off about much. He's just a class act, you know. He's just a true gentleman, and like just to be able to, you know, be with him on the field. And I've been watching him for a long time, you know, play for the U.S. and he's just, you know, you don't really know him. I didn't know him prior to coming down here, but come down here and he's just like the nicest guy ever. And, you know, he's just been a great teammate and someone who's just like rooting me on. I'm rooting him on, and we're just battling it out in training every day. So it's just been an awesome experience.
Brian, you want to tell him your suggestions for the name change? Should the ownership group change?
The suggestions? What do you want to go with? The gladiators, the gunslingers, the gorillas?
You don't want to have to change the hat.
Good.
You want to keep the
I like
AG
the
thing,
gunslingers.
right?
Yeah,
The gunslingers?
Pretty cool, yeah.
Tell
like
the
that.
Washington Bullets that. They had to change to the Wizards, so that's not going to fly.
Yeah. There's a few names that have been kind of in the pipeline that we've heard. So
Oh, do tell. Come on.
There's been, I think it's Guardians have been
That's
kind
the
of thrown out there.
The Cleveland Indians are the Guardians. You can't. What the?
Yeah, I like Gunslingers though. Gunslingers is cool. I mean, our whole theme is Rangers and stuff like that. So hopefully it's something around, like Rangers or, you know, Army theme. That's kind of what our
Gorillas.
Yeah, I mean,
Austin Gilgronis.
Like Gunslingers.
All right, Chris,
Awesome
we got to let you
holidays.
go. Thank you for your patience. Dan was stuck in traffic, speeding through traffic on sidewalks just to get onto the mystery guest segment. But we appreciate your time and waiting, and you're a good sport, my friend. We're always rooting for you. Thanks, Chris Mattina of the Austin Gilgronis. And be sure to check out our bonus interview with San Diego Legion and Team USA star Will Hooley.
Been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we're back, and what a great simulated virtual background Dan has. It looks like he's actually driving, not like one of those cheesy movies, but it's pretty good. It looks pretty authentic, Dan. And the fake steering and looking around, that's great too. Be sure to check out our bonus interview with Chris Mattina, the former Team USA 7-star turned current Austin Gilgronis. Please check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds and our College Rugby Wrap Up. Please subscribe on YouTube. So, Brian, let's start off with our Good Friday night matchup between Old Glory and Utah. Who are the Warriors? And Old Glory almost took you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty scary there at the end. It was very similar, actually, ironically, with the game in Utah that the Arrows also won and almost let slip away at the end. So this is going to be a fun game. First game for Utah, you know, after Sean Pittman, of course, is no longer head coach. So Brandon Sparks stepping in there. Utah's not playing particularly well. Old Glory, I think, is on the rise. The last couple games have been very close. It's just a matter of, you know, taking that last step to play it at home. Long travel for Utah. So I'm going to go with Nate Osborne getting his first win as head coach.
Whoa. Dan, is he driving down the wrong road, or are you just going the wrong way?
What side of the road do we drive on here? Right or left? So right. Okay, I'm good. We'll get a really good indication what Warriors show up, right? Whether they were Sean Pittman, a player's coach, you know, were the players on his side and management wasn't, or vice versa. Is this a move that was dictated by the locker room and they're going to turn up and play? We'll find out this weekend. But I think, you know, Nate's done some good stuff in Old Glory in a short period of time. They've looked better and better each week from New York to Toronto. And heck, I'm going with you, Brian. Let's go. Let's go, Old Glory. Sheehy Autos, not only a win in your garage, but a win on the field as well.
Oh, that is good. That is good. And you know what? I think you're the salesman. You're the ultimate salesman, Dan. And you just sold me. You sold me easier than Paul Sheehy sold me my Volkswagen Taos, which the interior is kind of similar to yours with a huge double sunroof. I'm going with Old Glory. I think DC Nate Osborne gets his first win. Next one up, Toronto, Bryan, hosts New Orleans, their third consecutive home game in Toronto.
Yeah, tough road trip for NOLA, and let's be honest, NOLA did not look great against ATL, and they don't have much to play for at this point. The playoffs are beyond them at this point. Toronto suddenly does have something to play for. They picked up vital points. They're now just 5 back in New York. You saw what happened in New York this past weekend, so definitely going with the Arrows at home.
Arrows all the way. Yeah, I think Nolan now, it's a real look to 2023. Fitzy and his crew need to just kind of figure out what New Orleans is going to show up next year, because this year is over.
I'm going Toronto as well. Seattle. Who is Seattle? Are they who we thought they are, Dan? They're hosting San Diego, and San Diego's got the injury bug galore. But this one is a make-or-break game? It must be at this point, right?
Well, I think LA going on their tear has definitely woken up the Western Conference. Houston also now back in the winner's circle, looking a little stronger in 4th position. Yeah, Seattle on the outside looking in, aren't they, Matt? Like, they've really fallen off the pace. We thought that early in the season, maybe this was the Seattle of old coming back and they were going to be a shot, but they've not looked good in the last 4 or 5 weeks, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not quite executing. A lot of 50-50 passes aren't going to hand, throwing in little interceptions and pops and things like that. They're just not, accurate enough right now. And I don't know if they just don't look like a side who's really, there in the final quarter ready and really thrashing. Even though they came back and they scored and got that bonus try, I mean, it was already a fait accompli at that point. So, Seattle 3-0 to start the season, 1-5 since. That's not great. I got to go with San Diego on the road.
San Diego's they've got too many key injuries. You got Hooley out. You got Augsburger out. You got Chris Robshaw. I mean, we've almost forgotten that he's on the roster. So Seattle's got that 16th man. They are very unpredictable. I think Seattle might win this one. Call me crazy. I'm going with Seattle. Next one up, LA. The Juggernaut again, hosting your boys, Dan, the Sabercats.
Sabercats have to win this game. If they are going to be any sort of serious contenders in the West and overall, they have to win these games. LA, wow, what a performance against New York, right? We all know that travel is tough. And I think sometimes international fans in particular may not realize what a travel experience it is to go from New York to LA. Like, it is literally like flying to another country. And the toll it takes physically to do that. And New York's still a great team, but boy, LA looked like they were back and in form, and they're going to start getting healthier and healthier here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Los Angeles in this one, just because I think they are finding form and going to go on a little tear here.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, sure, they got the win they wanted against Dallas, but it wasn't a super convincing performance for me. I think they were a little too slow. They just didn't move the ball as well. I thought they just kept it tight a little bit too much, played a little bit too conservative for my liking. That's not going to fly in Memorial Coliseum. LA all over this one. I expect them to win this big.
Yeah, LA, I said it on the Rugby Odds. From now on, you just pick LA again. They're at that point because, as Dan said, they're going to get healthier. Hanko looked like he has finally found his game in Los Angeles. He was a wrecking ball. He ran right over Fossey Fuatai for a try, which is no easy task. They're just getting healthier. But these guys have also gelled. They didn't have that month away in preseason, right? And they had different bodies because of different injuries. But now the guys that are actually healthy are gelling. They know how each other plays. They are a dangerous unit. So I think they're going to blow out Houston. Dallas, speaking of blowouts, hosting Austin. It just doesn't get any easier for the Jackals, Dan.
No, I think the only chance they've got is if Sammy Harris decides to rest 26 players this week, and they end up playing against the academy side. For Austin, this is actually probably a really good timing, because with the way their bye was structured and the way the byes are structured this year, they can probably rest some of their older key players here and probably run some patterns that they may want to take a look at implementing later in the year, or just try a few things here. And they'll probably load up the bench. And if something miraculous happens and Dallas is in this game, they'll flood, 16 through 23 on the field and kind of take it away. But how do you pick anything except an Austin win here?
By a lot, probably, too, right, Brian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no other option. And hopefully they do, put a few other bodies that we haven't seen maybe this season. Cole Davis, I think, is fit again, the Canadian. There is a Canadian on the Austin team, so hopefully he sees the field. And I mean, Canadian international, he hasn't played yet. That's a pretty good guy to be calling on. Caleb Strum, the young winger they picked in the draft, maybe we'll see him out there. It'd be nice to get, Mason Cook out there, get him a start as well, guys like that. So, looking forward to this one, kind of from a player development point of view, but I think competitively, Austin easily wins this.
All right. There are no Easter Sunday games. I am picking Austin by 20 points in this one. No Easter Sunday games. New York and New England have a bye this weekend. Gentlemen, final thoughts. Dan.
Yeah, we're in the run home, right? We're halfway through MLR 2022. And we're going to have a really fascinating run home in both conferences because there's realistically probably 4, maybe 5 teams in each conference that can still make the playoffs, which will make the games coming down the stretch really fascinating to watch here. But this is where teams who are really contenders are going to step up these next couple of weeks leading into the playoffs. We're really going to see who the top teams are and who can actually lift that gigantic shield at the end of the year.
Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this weekend, I think Seattle, San Diego is the game to watch really as far as competitiveness goes. But the next couple of weeks are really going to be pivotal as far as the playoff game. I mean, if Toronto, New York's got that tough game against New England. If Toronto can get that win this weekend and then again next week against Houston, all of a sudden it's game on in the Eastern Conference, right? So some big games coming up, looking forward to it. And I'm not going to mention injuries because I think I cursed it last weekend, but looking forward to another exciting week of rugby and a day off for that matter.
How much is that loss versus Atlanta going to come back to haunt your Arrows?
I guess we'll see, won't we? I mean, as a tough one, at least they got a bonus point out of it. So that's something, right? So they did take something out of there, but
true,
it's going to be so tight. And we knew it was going to be tight from day one. That third spot in the East was always going to come down to, a couple points, and bonus points are going to be everything there. So, how much does that loss cost New York? 43 points. I mean, even points differential could matter. So lots of intrigue left.
That's another good point. What I'm noticing going into the second half, it's been bugging me for a while, but I finally figured it out. The logo on your hat looks like a cell phone tower. Just wanted to throw that out there. Dan, are you with me on this?
I thought it looked like an old school oil rig.
That too. Yes. Yeah. It looks like one of those oil rigs in Los Angeles that when you drive into the airport where you go dump a body. And I mean that in a good way, Toronto fans and Brian. So.
Yeah, it's digging up gold this coming weekend.
Oh, doctor. Big words for Brian. All right, Brian, you deserve it. You have been true blue to your Blue Arrows, so good for you. On that note, I want to thank Mr. Dan Power and Mr. Brian Ray, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds and our College Rugby Wrap Up. Please subscribe on YouTube, sign up for our newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team. Be sure to check out our bonus interview with Chris Mattina, the former Team USA 7-star turned current Austin Gilgronis.
Smith to Danny Barrett. Barrett skips through a tackle. Barrett inside the 22. Barrett a race to the try line and dotted down. Just really great determination by Bryan to get over.